Yeah, let's see. Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the 18th of October, 2024. It is Friday, end of the week, and we have it. We have the details that were alluded to as of yesterday. Yesterday, we had some illusions, or we were given a little bit of keep your heads out for the purge, and the purge is here. It is on now. More details on Burn Baby Burn. Burn those uncanny block explorers. We'll get into the details, but essentially, Upland overproduced a set of block explorers 2 years ago, 2022, during the Halloween season. Those block explorers helped play a role in the downturn of the market of block explorers because of working towards a saturation point in block explorers at a time when the market was doing relatively well. This obviously changed the supply and demand dynamics. It changed the appearance of the rarity or scarcity of block explorers overall, and ultimately it helped play a role in decreasing the cost or the implied value by the market of block explorers at that time. That shift in the market has carried on for the last 2 years. And now 2 years later, Upland has done something to correct that a little bit. We'll get into that. There's a number of people who have been block explorer collectors over the last several years, and they've had this gripe and this complaint. And why do we put this many out of these block explorers when everything else has been of this scale, of this scale, of this scale? And what was the idea, and how does that affect everything? And good to see your trees. And we'll get into that. And again, some of the reality and the reaction from the people who has who have put a significant amount of time and effort and energy into block explorers themselves. Spooky season in Upland continues. I'm laughing because I have some notes coming in, but spooky season in Upland continues with the sell out of 350 bundles of block explorers. That's 350 block explorers. This was a done right, and we'll get to the details. This was a done right type sale where the supply was limited for the block explorers. The market was set relatively small, the overall supply, and the pricing kind of met, at least as far as the market was concerned, met the demand as far as those block explorers being very limited supply. I'll get to the details on that as well. But for tonight, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. I do want to talk about these things broadly and then more specifically. All views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Should not be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They represent the game of the team of Upland. Any views or opinions of those who are guests on the show, they are theirs and theirs alone. They shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They don't represent the game of the team of Upland. Myself, the Goldsmith of the Cafe Nightly Show. That is a disclaimer. Let's take a look at the announcement and then get back to this block explorer sale today. Because again, it ties together, it dovetails, it tells a continuing story about the place of block explorers in the game of Upland, the value of block explorers in the game of Upland, and really the people who care the most about them. And the people who care most about them are the people who really have bought them regardless of the market. They bought them when the market was high. They bought them when the market was low. They may have sold some along the way. We have names in the field we have people like Unspoken Bullet, who's bought, purchased, and held on to over 1,000 block explorers, when there's other people who sold every last block explorer they had because they didn't see it as an area that they were interested in continuing. There's people who are block explorers, store owners, shop owners, meta venture owners who have, seen a strong movement of block explorers 2 years ago, 3 years ago when block explorer stores first came out, and then almost seen the market for block explorers dry up to zero. So we've seen, a big change in that market. And like I said in the intro, part of that tied into the saturation of the market. There was enough block explorers put out in the market at a certain point that it met or exceeded the demand. And once it got to that point, we saw this striving and this purchase behavior change a little bit. And that affected the pricing. There was less people having to fight to get block explorers because there's more block explorers to meet that demand. And if there were certain block explorers that were put out in larger quantities as opposed to more limited quantities, well, those block explorers that were put out in larger quantities, not only did they potentially have a lower value for each of the block explorers in that series, but they also put a downward pressure on some of the other block explorer series that were out in the market that may have been similar, and people looked at those as being co-equal. And by the time they look at those as being co-equal, now if there was 200 of this Block Explorer and there's 2,666 of this Block Explorer, now the Block Explorer that has 200 of it, it may have a detriment to its value because of the much larger quantity of this other Block Explorer that's similar in one way or the other. Has someone been gobbling up the Halloween BEs trees? I would say so. I would say so because we did see the floor in that market get scooped up. We'll get into a little bit there what that function looks like and the why of the scoop up, the buy up, and the burn. But let's get into that announcement. Halloween is creeping up, and Upland is celebrating with a spine-tingling event, the first ever Halloween perch. We've had a couple burns. We have a couple Block Explorer burns. There's different rewards, the way they're set, and there is a 2-piece reward to this burn. I think that the prize is set at the right level to encourage people, especially since this is a limited value or was a limited value Block Explorer, with a reality that that market is going to shift and is shifting because of the reward that was offered. Obviously, you'll have some of these Block Explorers change hands so people can qualify for the rewards that are part of this burn event. From Friday, October 18th at 9 a.m. PT, that is running right now, does run through next Thursday the 24th of October, 9 a.m. PT. Purge some of the most common Block Explorers from the Uncanny Halloween 2022 series for a chance at a thrilling reward. And again, there's some guaranteed rewards here. There's some that are an entry. You're buying, birding, going for an entry. And again, if you already had the Block Explorers, that's where you want to be. That's where I was. That's where a lot of people were. They had already had a bunch of these because they were cheap to acquire at one point. People saw them as collection fillers. People ended up with them because they were transacting between other other Block Explorers, and they got these as parts of bundles, or they got these as parts of burners to transfer assets back and forth between parties. But ultimately, now's the time when you can burn them and get a reward along the way. The big reward here, obviously, in addition to there being Block Explorer, in addition to there being a badge, a big reward here is the Gallier Hall in New Orleans, a spooky, haunted, historic landmark. Again, it's the right time of year to give out a haunted landmark. Go figure. It is the right city to give out a haunted landmark, given the fact that we have that focus on essentially the run up to the big game this year, the staking encouragement to stake in New Orleans. With all those things tying in, it is great that at this time, partway through the road to the big game, as we are putting that focus in New Orleans, that is where a landmark has been given out. Let's get all the details here because, again, this is a short contest, 1 week, running to next Thursday. And keynotes here, again, it is already started. It started at 9 a.m. PT today. You do have to burn by Thursday, October 24th at 9 a.m. PT, and you'll have some chances at a thrilling prize with some guarantees along the way if you've burned enough of the Block Explorers. This limited time event isn't just a way to clear out your collection. It doesn't just make these a little more rare. It does, in theory, give a use case for Block Explorers. If people see these purge events, these burn events as being things that are continual, maybe they're more likely to hold on to their Block Explorers instead of trying to liquidate them. That's the reality. Because, again, if the rewards are large enough, the rewards are rich enough, I can definitely see that as being a thought in the back of people's minds. Do I really want to sell this for 3,500 OPEX, which is what the price on some of these common uncanny Block Explorers were previously, or do I want to hold on to it? Maybe they sell it for a little more. Maybe they can't justify 3,500 because for 3,500 OPEX, they hold on to it for 6 months or 2 years to see if it gets put into a burnable event. Or maybe at 5,000 or 5,500 or 6,000 OPEX, maybe that's the point that they're willing to sell it. So it does create a potential upward pressure. And the other thing that it's going to do overall is, again, in addition to reducing some of the specific quantity here, it does reduce some of the overall fodder that's on the market. The more Block Explorers that get burnt, the less overall Block Explorers that are on the market tradable, sellable. The ones that are most likely for people to put in the market for tradable, sellable are the more common ones because there's less excitement about holding on to them for many people. For some of the rare block explorers, people like to hold on to them. They mean something special to them because there's fewer of them on the market. Sometimes people enjoy using them as their display icon more commonly. So we do tend to see that it's these common ones that choke up the meta ventures all the time, the block explorer meta ventures. And the reality is if we can reduce those a little bit on the market, maybe it changes that market a little bit. No guarantees that we're going to see block explorers be anything like they were before in the market. And I don't expect that to be the case. But this could have some splash-on effects down the line. But as of right now, it has already had some effects. It's already pushed the floor up on these common block explorers. Let's get into the burning mission, how this works. So there is, right easily, the limited time offer for the burn event. Unlock some epic bonuses per upland. Best of all is the perfect tie into the latest bonus gamified earnings mission. Yes, the bonus mission said burn 3 items or burn 3 assets or exchange them. Well, guess what? We should have an incentive above and beyond that burn 3 assets to want to burn those 3 assets. That's always my theory is, if you get the gamified earning the task completed while you're doing another task or while you're getting another reward, that's exactly where you want to be. And that's what we're at here. If you did burn 3 assets, you get a check mark for your gamified earnings task. You're also getting an entry or a placement on a leaderboard here along the way. There is some, like I said, some decent prizes that are guarantees if you do this burn as well. The Uncanny Halloween Block Explorer event. Again, in this event, you are going to burn one of the 2022 Uncanny, and that's the most common version of the Creepy Kid, the Pumpkin Man, or the Zombie. Key here, these are all from 2022, so these are 2-year-old Halloween Block Explorers. And each of the mints was 2,666. So that means those were some of the most common block explorers that were put out in the game of Upwind. And there's 3 separate designs, so 2,666 mints of each. Kind of the goal of a contest like this, or a leaderboard contest like this, or an event like this, is to see those numbers come down. So there's fewer of those available on the market, creating less pressure on the rest of block explorers, and then potentially changing the demand to supply ratio for that specific asset itself. And this is what they look like. Again, the uncommon, the face of the zombie, the face of the pumpkin man, the face of the creepy kid. A lot of us have seen them, excuse me, a lot of times because they are that common. There we go. For every block explorer that you burn, you earn an entry into the Grand Prize giveaway. Grand Prize giveaway is huge. Famous haunted landmark, Gallier Hall in New Orleans. This is key. What's key is we want to see more landmarks come in the game of Upwind. Giving them out as prizes for contests, I think, is a huge way to incentivize participation in these contests. The other thing it does is get them out in the hands of people, because we see a lot of these landmarks just sitting there. Upwind says, there are these landmarks. There's 40 landmarks in the city. New Orleans has these landmarks that have been sitting there for almost 3 years, and they haven't been minted. And this is one way of getting at least one of them minted. So I'm glad that Upwind is using those or that inventory of landmarks. I hope they do it more often. I hope it can be a bigger draw to help people participate. Again, this is part of the game of Upwind. Yes, assets are being burnt. Yes, people are giving up some value in order to participate, but the reward, at least in my case, justifies me burning 25, 30,000 UPIX worth of assets in order to qualify or potentially earn an entry to win this prize. For every block explorer you burn, you're also going to be checking off a couple of requirements to earn some points during the purge or earn some rewards during the purge. But let's look at Gallier Hall. A keynote here is there is a leaderboard, and it is up right now. The current leaderboard that we see is just telling us how many total block explorers have been burnt. And that tells you about how many overall players have participated. There will be a future, not ready now, but a future leaderboard that is for individuals, showing how many Block Explorers individuals burnt. But if I look at this right now, we see that there was 352 Creepy Kids burnt, 306 Pumpkin Mans burnt, and 277 zombies burnt as of right now. Of the 277 zombies burnt, 163 different players burnt zombies, 162 different players burned Pumpkin Man, and 179 different players burned Creepy Kid, meaning some of those players burned multiples. I personally burned multiples of Creepy Kid and burned multiples of the zombie. With that noted, there will be that future leaderboard where I can go back and verify how many I burned so I can look at where I sit for these rewards that we will discuss right down here. And before we get to those rewards right down here, let's look at Gallier Hall. Gallier Hall is not just any historic landmark, which it is. It does have its own history. It's also haunted by some of the ghosts of the Confederate soldiers and former city officials whose spirits linger in New Orleans' storied and often tragic past. The iconic site has hosted funerals, Civil War events, and more, making it a fitting prize for this Halloween purge. Again, haunted, fits in the season, create this event with a theme, have the theme make sense to the season. This is something I've asked Upwind to do and suggested was a good idea for a long time. You know, we don't talk about fantasy in sizzle season in the summer. We talk about a befitting theme. Halloween is a befitting theme for this time of year. You know, this purge of Halloween Block Explorers, this haunted monument or haunted landmark, they all tie together. They all make sense. It is thematic. It is seasonal. It is topical. It is contemporary. I like that Upwind has done this. This is a standalone landmark valued at $1,624,180 UPX. So it's a big number. So it's a big prize to begin with. Then it's a landmark. Landmark allows you to build a custom one-of-one structure on that property. That is a huge reward. I like the idea that it's going to sit out there and be something people are going to see long-term. Landmark is something that a lot of people aspire to. They've wanted to get, and again, it could be yours if you get lucky, because each burn is one entry. One entry is enough to win. 100 entries is potentially more likely to win than a single entry, but each of those 100 entries has the same likelihood as the person who burnt one. More you burn, more entries. So keep that in mind. But the person who just barely got one, they paid 7,000 UPX for it, they burnt it, they could win as well. In addition to the chance to win Gallier Hall, players who participate will earn various rewards based on the number of Block Explorers they burn. Okay, let's take a look at what this looks like. Burn at least 3 Block Explorers and you will receive the exclusive Purge 2024 badge. A lot of people like to work for badges. Keep in mind, the market before was 3,500 UPX, about that, for one of these uncanny Block Explorers. That value has gone up. That floor has been pushed up since. So if you're going to go buy a new Block Explorer, buy a Block Explorer just for this burn, keep that in mind. The artificial floor is likely to fall at some point in the future, or at least settle at some point in the future, but it is being driven up by the fact that there are people who haven't owned these who want to have 5 to burn. And the reason why they want to have 5 to burn is you burn 5 of these highly common Block Explorers, and you will get a less common Block Explorer. Burn 5 of the Block Explorers to get one of the 2 rare Block Explorers Halloween themed that Upwind is putting out. And we look at those images. If you ask me, those really fit the Halloween season. I really like the idea of them being out there. I really like the idea of Upwind getting these out there or rewarding these to players before Halloween so they can use them during the Halloween season. And then, of course, there is one additional prize along the way. This is something Upwind is going to do better, hopefully, and they already have discussed doing better, and that is rewarding people cumulatively for a collective effort. As a community, if we, as a total, burn 666 Block Explorers or more, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. We've already burnt 666 Block Explorers. Congratulations, community. A bonus reward is unlocked. 25 or plus 25 SPH added to your profile in the Road to the big game. So you get 25 spark hours added to your profile, added to your bonus. That's nothing, but it is something. Leaderboard for every block explorer you burn. So 25, you burnt 5, 125. Still nothing, but it's something. Increasing your chances of winning even more sparklets. So again, this is Upland tying this event into a larger event. Road to the big game, gain spark hours along the way, getting you a larger share of an airdrop. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that Upland is letting the participation in this leaderboard help affect another contest that people are actively participating in and interested in the outcome of. Again, increasing your chance of winning even more sparklet later in the season. For example, burning 10 block explorers will get you a total of 250 bonus SPH. And again, it's something. All right. Purge badge looks like this little jack-o'-lantern face. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cute. It is kind of the outlines stamped in of a jack-o'-lantern, cartoony jack-o'-lantern face with a stitch mouth. The Phantom Steed Block Explorer, a red-eyed steed with a saddle on and no rider. Kind of cool. And the Nightwing Terror, which is a bat, a red-eyed little bat. And that little bat doesn't have any giant fangs hanging out, but he is, maybe a little spooky bat. Maybe he's not the cutest. Maybe he's not the most friendly. Maybe he is supposed to make you a little bit scared, and that's why they call him the Nightwing Terror. But ultimately, one of the two of those block explorers randomly selected could be yours. You just have to burn 5 block explorers to earn them. Let the purge begin. The Halloween Purge is your chance to clean up your collection. Again, people have asked for this opportunity. Hey, there's too many of these. How do we get some out of the market? If I get some out of the market, I want a reward for it. There you go. So you're getting a reward for getting rid of some of these block explorers. And again, it does help the market overall. Now, Upland's part of it is don't put a ton of block explorers out for no reason. Don't put large circulations of block explorers people don't want or aren't asking for. And overall, if we're not adding a significant amount of players to the player base, maybe we shouldn't be adding a significant number of block explorers to the market. Pretty basic pieces of economy, pretty basic concepts of economics. Again, you have the opportunity of winning a landmark, which is a huge deal. And we are working with, within the community, within the Upland community, within people who are participating in New Orleans for the run up to the big game, the road to the big game, to get some better prizes between now or better chances along the way of getting better sparklet payouts along the way to the road to the big game contest. With Gollier Hall up for grabs, exclusive badges, and rare block explorers waiting to be claimed, the time to purge is now. Let's come together and purge Upland in this spooktacular event. One thing I'll say about the word rare, first and foremost, is it possible that there are going to be 100 people, again, 5 block explorers each, times 100 people, that's 500 burnt block explorers that are going to qualify for this, for each of these two. So let's call that 1,000 block explorers burnt overall. And people have to get 5 each. Yes, so that's going to be 100 block explorers of each of these, very easy. What about 2,000? Well, yeah, very possible. Again, there was a total of just under 8,000, just at 8,000. So definitely possible. We could get 2,000 of them to get burnt overall, 5 per person, 200 of these each, a total of 400 of them out in the market. Are they still rare if there's 200 of the Phantom Steed Block Explorer and 200 of the Nightwing Terror? That definition of what's a rare and non-rare Block Explorer, Upland's played around with a bit. But when we have an open possibility Block Explorer like this, it is important to note that we don't have a defined number. It's going to be a variable based on the number of overall burns. But the reality is there's going to be a lot fewer of these than there currently are of the zombie, the creepy kid, or the zombie, the creepy kid, or the pumpkin man. That's the third one. Or the pumpkin man. There's going to be a lot fewer of them overall. So keep that in mind. And again, I like the art of these. Not that it was uninspired, the zombie head 2 years ago, but seeing hundreds of them over the course of the last 2 years, I would love to see fewer but a different, little bat or fewer and different Phantom Steeds. So that's what I think we will see, and I'm looking forward to it along the way. This is something, again, that's a compounding event. It does tie into two other events. A is a task on our gamified earnings for harvest season, and then B is to get some more SPH, some more credit towards your balance of SPH to help get a better price for the road to the big game along the way. Pretty easy. Hopefully down the line we see more of the synergy, more of these ties between one contest and the next. The encouragement for people who are trying to, be involved in one level of the game of Upland or one area of the game of Upland to be involved in other areas of the game of Upland. You are being encouraged to be part of the NFLPA because that is tied into the road to the big game. You're encouraged to be part of the Block Explorer market. You're encouraged to be part of the building market. Those are all three tied together in the road to the big game contest at this time. And then, of course, also tied back to the monthly earnings, the seasonal gamified tasks. Let's take a look at that sale that did happen today. Again, this ties in as well. That is Block Explorers that are being sold for the Halloween season 2023. 2024, sorry. Wow, we skipped the year. 2024, but not at the quantity that we saw in 2022. So there was a total of 350 Block Explorers sold, except there was 7 different Block Explorers, which means there was 50 of each of those Block Explorers. That makes them rare Block Explorers. Let's take a look at those images if we can get them. Oh, there's one of them. The purchase gets you 20,000 UPIX. It was $20 to buy the purchase, and you get one of 7 randomized Block Explorers. Again, your participation in the sale. Helps guarantee or does guarantee that you get a Block Explorer. It does guarantee you get 20,000 UPIX. It just does not guarantee what Block Explorer you get along the way. And this is what the Block Explorers looked like. If we want to go take a look at them, go down the line here. There's the Rotting Rager. There's the Cursed Flamekeeper. There's the Eternal Wrath, Fool of Fright, the Hexmaster Hag, Broken Beauty, Cursed Carver. If you want to get these, you can on the secondary. They're out there. You just can't get them on the primary. This sale is over. The sellout happened. This was one of those ones you register for ahead. You get in place, you purchase, and it did sell out. Like I said, even though it was a USD sale, we saw it sell out relatively quickly. And if you didn't get what you want, you can go in the secondary market and try to buy what you want to have as a display for yourself moving forward to the Halloween season, which we are headed into right now. Again, with the tie-in here, with the idea of burning some Block Explorers, why do we keep selling new Block Explorers? Well, we have this idea of the value of art, right? We have a little different design. This is different than what we had previously. I could see somebody who collects Block Explorers, somebody like Unspoken Bullet, someone like Barco, who has, and TML, thank me later, who has hundreds or thousands of Block Explorers, or over 1,000 and heading into 2 for some people. I could see them wanting to pick up 1 or 2 more Block Explorers in this season just because they like the looks of them. They've already justified having as many Block Explorers as they have. They enjoy looking at Block Explorers, having variety and options, and then one new one comes along the line that they particularly like, pick that up and add that to the collection as well. And it also gives the opportunity for people who don't have Block Explorers to try to buy them on the primary. The $20 price for a Block Explorer, getting 20,000 UPIX as a reward. It may not be the cheapest Block Explorer in the market. You could buy Block Explorers as a secondary for a lower price, but because these are low quantity, low circulation Block Explorers, only 50 of each design, they're differentiated from the Block Explorers that are a lot lower cost. That are lower cost because there's a lot more of them out on the market, and that's the price point that Upland has to set, or that's the way they have to set their price points moving forward. Is if you're going to charge $20 for a Block Explorer and 20,000 UPIX, there can't be 1,000 of those Block Explorers. There has to be a very limited number, and as long as we continue to see the same number of players, the 30,000 daily active users, you can't be pushing a huge quantity of new Block Explorers if you see a continued growth in the player base, you have a lot more players playing, there may be a larger demand for block explorers, and that's when it makes sense to have larger circulations, larger quantities of individual block explorers. That's when it makes sense to put a larger number of overall block explorers in the market. And again, with a consistent number of players of the game, with the fact that we did get oversupplied in block explorers, burning more block explorers than we're adding to the market, which we've already done. We've burnt more block explorers today than we added to the market today. If we're doing that, that's a step in the positive direction. And I got to do a little golf clap to Upland for that, considering both people have asked for this for 2 years. There's been people who've been asking for a burn event specifically on these block explorers for literally 2 years. Then we started having burn events be more common. And then people kept bringing up, this would be a great asset to have a burn event for. And ultimately, that's what we got. And ultimately, the rewards along the way, getting a new block explorer, getting a badge, getting an entry to win a landmark, that's a large enough incentive, at least for myself and for a lot of other people, to burn the 5 block explorers. And maybe that's enough incentive for some people. Again, no financial advice, no game society advice, not telling people what to do, but that's enough incentive for some people to go out and buy these block explorers in the secondary market to burn, to get the reward, which ultimately is going to push up the floor on that market, continue to push the floor on that market over the next week. We'll see how that ends up sugaring out the end. We'll see if the market kind of stabilizes above, and it may and it may not, stabilizes significantly above where it was prior to the purge, but ultimately there'll be fewer block explorers left after the purge is over. And again, that is a strong benefit. For tonight, that's about it. I mean, we are headed into another week here. We're getting relatively close towards the 30th of October. Reminder to keep your eyes out on your gamified tasks and get those completed. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT, we get together. Look at the day's news, go over the announcements, look at the context that ties it all together, and hopefully learn something along the way. If you are in the Upland Cafe Discord, something that's still there, where you have the heritage of being there, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours. Thank you again for being here tonight, and looking forward to seeing you on Monday.